You're sitting on your couch, right? Some just kind of aimlessly scrolling through your phone.
Like we all do. Yeah.
Exactly, like we all do. And in the span of, say, 60 seconds, you watch a teenager doing this meticulously choreographed dance in a grocery store,
Right.
then a self-proclaimed billionaire sharing the secret morning routine that guarantees
Oh,
success.
of course.
And then, a lifestyle guru giving you aesthetic advice from a perfectly lit, impossibly clean kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like modern technology at its absolute peak, right?
It really does feel that way.
Yeah.
But what if I told you that you aren't looking at the cutting edge of digital innovation at all?
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, you are actually staring directly at the script of a 300-year-old theatrical play.
Oh, wow. That is a jarring perspective shift.
It really is. We have this profound collective illusion, I think, that our social media feeds are just unfiltered windows into reality.
Right, like they're just random, casual slices of modern life.
Exactly. But the architecture beneath those videos is actually significantly older
Hmm.
and far more artificial
Oh.
than the smartphones we use to watch them.
Which is exactly why we are plunging into today's deep dive. Our mission is to figure out why your endless scroll feels so strangely staged.
Yeah, and more importantly, what it reveals about the human condition when we are all, given an audience.
Yes, exactly. And to do this, we are drawing on a truly fascinating cultural analysis by Dr. Jasankumar V. Rathod from Government Arts College in Gujarat, India.
It's a brilliant paper.
It really is. He draws this massive, unbroken line between the 17th and 18th century restoration comedy of manners and the very modern, very addictive digital culture you interact with every single day.
Yeah, it's a remarkable synthesis. Dr. Rathod's core thesis argues that literature and historical theater, they don't just passively record the past. They actively outline the blueprint of human behavior. So in this case, the physical stage of the 1600s hasn't disappeared.
It's just changed shape.
Exactly. It has simply shrunk down to a 6-inch glowing screen in your pocket.
Okay, let's unpack this because I think most of us vaguely remember the term comedy of manners from, like, high school English.
Sure.
But how exactly does a powdered wig 17th century play map onto a 21st century app?
So to understand the connection, we have to look at what these plays were structurally designed to do.
Okay.
Following the restoration of the English monarchy in the 1660s, theater just exploded back onto the scene.
Right.
And this specific genre took over the comedy of manners.
And what were they about? Like, what made them unique?
Well, they were not about grand historical battles or deep philosophical tragedies. They focused entirely, almost obsessively, on the behavior of the fashionable elite.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, they were set in drawing rooms, coffee houses, parks, and the playwrights really highlighted how people dressed, how cleverly they spoke, their convoluted social climbing, and, above all else, their deceit.
So it was essentially the reality television of the 1600s, just wealthy people behaving badly in nice outfits.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
But the mechanism driving the drama is what really matters for us today.
How so?
In the comedy of manners, appearance is the currency of the realm. Reality, genuine emotion, actual morality, those are almost completely irrelevant.
Wow. Okay, so it's all surface level.
Right. Characters constantly pretend to be something they are not. They project an image of wealth or wit or desirability just to survive the social hierarchy.
I mean, fast forward to your social media feed today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When someone posts a perfectly staged photo at a misty hill station or an impossibly aesthetic cafe, they aren't merely capturing a personal memory.
No, they're projecting an image.
Yes, a highly curated image to navigate a modern social hierarchy.
That makes perfect sense. It's like opening a social media app is exactly like grabbing a front row seat at one of these plays.
Absolutely.
Everyone on your feed is wearing a costume, hitting their marks, and acting out a tiny looping performance just for your entertainment.
And those looping performances function as what we might call microtexts of these older plays.
Microtext, I like that.
Yeah, short videos on modern platforms don't follow strict rules of narrative, time, or place. They're quick, they're hyper-emotional, designed for instant entertainment.
Just quick hits of drama.
Right, and ultimately, they exist to expose or celebrate human quirks and weaknesses. The medium is new, but the psychology of the performance is identical.
So if we accept that the digital world is essentially this giant global stage, then it stands to reason that our feeds are populated by specific recognizable actors.
Oh, completely. You can't have a play without a cast.
Right. And Dr. Rathod maps out these historical archetypes, proving that characters from 3 centuries ago are alive and thriving today.
They really are.
Let's start with the one who thinks they are the smartest person in the room, the Truant.
Yes, the truant.
Hmm.
What's fascinating here is how seamlessly this archetype translates.
Okay, tell me about the historical version first.
So in Restoration drama, particularly in William Congreve's play The Way of the World, there is a character named Mirabell. He is the ultimate truant.
And what makes him the ultimate Truant?
Mirabell is relentlessly clever. He is always calm, highly polished, and relies entirely on his intellect and sharp speech to basically dominate the room.
Okay, so he's the cool guy.
Exactly. His power comes from never showing raw, unedited emotion. He is the guy who always has the perfect comeback and seems completely unbothered by the chaos around him.
Wait, I need to push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
I get that influencers curate their lives, but if someone is sitting in their car delivering genuinely good life advice or offering sharp social commentary on a podcast clip, is that really a theatrical performance?
It's a fair question.
Because aren't some of them just naturally smart people sharing what they know?
I mean, yes, some are naturally smart,
Yeah.
but we have to look at the delivery mechanism. It isn't just about the information, it is about the presentation of the intellect.
A presentation, okay.
Right. This is where Dr. Rathod brings in the sociologist Irving Goffman, who argued that all social life is a carefully managed performance.
Right, I've heard of this, front stage and backstage.
Exactly. Goffman divided our behavior into the front stage, where we perform for others, and the backstage, where we drop the act.
Got it.
The modern digital truant has basically weaponized the front stage. Even if their advice is good, you are watching a rehearsed cadence.
Oh, I see. You're seeing the take where the lighting caught them just right after they edited out the stutter?
Precisely. They're performing the idea of unbothered intelligence.
I see what you mean. It is the aura of cool superiority. They're presenting an image of someone who has life entirely figured out.
Yeah, which makes the viewer feel like they need to keep watching to absorb some of that control.
Exactly, the dynamic. And if the Truant is the archetype performing sheer intellect and control, well, the theatrical ecosystem requires a counterbalance.
It does. It needs the character who performs pure, unadulterated stall.
Which brings us to the guy who probably spends more on his sneakers than his rent, the fop.
Yes, the fop. Unquestionably one of the most visible characters on any feed.
Oh, absolutely everywhere.
To understand the origin, we look at Sir Fopling Flutter from George Etheridge's play The Man of Mode.
Great name, by the way. Sir Fopling Flutter.
Incredible name. And Sir Fopling is consumed by artificiality. He cares infinitely more about the cut of his coat, the scent of his perfume, and the optics of his arrival than he does about any genuine human connection.
So he's all surface.
Completely. He is excessive, incredibly artificial, and his entire identity is wrapped up in the aesthetic he projects to the audience.
This maps so perfectly onto the lifestyle or fashion influencer. Like, the digital fop is the creator whose entire grid is luxury hauls, elaborate 10-step skincare routines, and relentless travel to exotic locations. But here's what I struggle with. Why do we watch them?
What do you mean?
Well, in a play, Sir Fopling Flutter is usually the butt of the joke, right? The audience laughs at his vanity. But online, the digital fop is worshipped. They get millions of likes for just showing off a handbag.
Yeah, it's a fascinating flip. To understand that shift, Dr. Rathod introduces the philosopher Jean Baudrillard and his concept of hyperreality.
Hyperreality. Okay, break that down for me.
Hyperreality occurs when the distinction between what is real and what is a simulation collapses entirely.
So we can't tell the difference anymore.
Even more than that. In hyperreality, the highly edited, perfectly filtered image actually becomes more desirable and feels more significant than the messy reality it represents.
Great, so Baudrillard is saying my brain actually prefers the fake, heavily filtered photo of a sunset to an actual sunset I might see at my own window.
Essentially, yes, because the simulated version is flawless. It removes the inconvenience of reality.
Wow. Okay, I mean, that makes sense.
Think about a Get Ready With Me video.
Oh.
It isn't just a person putting on clothes. It is a hyper-real simulation of an impossibly perfect morning.
Yeah. We know the digital fop's life is staged, right? It's artificially lit, heavily sponsored.
But we voluntarily buy into the illusion.
Exactly. We consume it as a standard to measure our own real, flawed lives against because the simulation is just so visually intoxicating.
It really is.
So, what does this all mean? Are we just collectively agreeing to live in a shared hallucination where authenticity doesn't matter anymore as long as the aesthetic is good?
That is the tincture of the modern comedy of manners.
Yeah.
We are choosing the beautiful performance over the mundane reality.
Right.
But building that hyper-real environment requires massive amounts of content. The Truitts and the Fops are the innovators, the stars of the show.
But an ecosystem can't survive on stars alone.
Exactly. It needs volume. It needs the imitators.
And if there's one thing social media has an unlimited supply of, it is people loudly copying everyone else.
True.
Which introduces us to a very tragic, very funny archetype, the Witwoud.
Yeah, the Witwoud is a brilliant inclusion by Dr. Rathod.
Tell me about them.
So in Restoration drama, a Witwoud is a character who desperately craves the social status of a Truitt, but completely lacks the natural intelligence or originality to achieve it.
So how do they survive in high society?
Through pure, relentless mimicry. They copy the jokes, they copy the mannerisms, but without the underlying substance.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, they usually just end up exposing themselves as foolish tryhards to the audience.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the digital environment doesn't punish the Witwoud. The algorithm actually engineers them.
Yes, that is the core difference.
Like, if you think about your own feed right now, how many times today have you seen the exact same trending audio applied to slightly different videos?
Hundreds of times, probably.
Exactly. The modern Witwoud is the trend follower. They do the exact same viral dance or lip sync, the exact same punchline that 10,000 other people did yesterday.
And that structural difference is vital. In a 17th century drawing room, repeating someone else's joke 10 minutes later would get you ostracized for being dull.
Yeah, you would be socially ruined.
But today, the digital infrastructure is literally built to reward imitation. Platforms provide you with the trending audio. They give you the templates.
It's like the platforms are handing out scripts and saying, hey, you don't need to be original, just hit these marks and we will give you 1 million views.
Exactly. It completely flips the social penalty of being unoriginal.
It really does. They survive and often financially thrive entirely through repetition.
Right. But while the Witwoud relies on volume and copying, there's another archetype that survives through intense strategic psychological control over the audience.
Ooh, who is that?
The coquette.
Ooh, the art of the tease.
Exactly. We return to the play The Way of the World and the character Milment. A coquette is a master of managing attention.
Oh, okay. How does she do it?
She uses her charm with surgical precision, meticulously controlling how others perceive her. And crucially, she never gives herself completely away.
She holds back.
Yes. She understands that maintaining a sense of mystery and distance keeps her suitors, or in our modern case, her audience desperate for more.
Wow, this is the modern parasocial relationship to a T. Like the creators who make you feel like you are their absolute best friend, but you actually know nothing real about them.
Right. They control every single access point.
Right.
This actually brings us to Michel Foucault's theories on power. Foucault argued that power is directly intertwined with visibility.
Okay, visibility equals power.
In a very literal sense. To
Yeah.
be seen is to hold power. To be unobserved is to be powerless.
Mm.
Modern digital coquettes understand this inherently. They maintain their grip on the audience by staying constantly but strategically visible on the feed.
So they dole out just enough interaction to keep the algorithm and the followers engaged?
Right, ensuring their continuous existence in the digital hierarchy.
Man, so it's all deeply intentional. The Truitt performing intellect, the Fop performing style, the Witwoud performing the trend, and the coquette performing access.
Exactly.
They are all wearing masks, heavily curated and perfectly lit. But what happens when the mask slips? Because, no one can maintain a flawless performance 24/7.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
And that is where the unintentional comedy and tragedy of the internet comes from.
When the backstage bleeds into the front stage.
Precisely. Dr. Rathod categorizes these slip-ups using a few distinct archetypes, starting with the prude. For this, we look at Lady Fidget from William Wycherley's play, The Country Wife.
Lady Fidget sounds like someone who would be incredibly exhausting to be around.
Oh, she certainly is. Lady Fidget is the ultimate hypocrite.
Okay.
In public, she projects an image of absolute unshakable morality. She acts scandalized by the slightest hint of impropriety in others, using her public virtue as a shield.
But in private.
Her behavior is entirely contradictory. She engages in the exact scandals she publicly condemns.
Talk about a concept that has aged flawlessly. I mean, the modern digital prude is everywhere.
Oh, completely.
Think about the influencers who build massive empires, projecting these hyper-ethical, perfectly wholesome, or radically traditional lives. They sell their audience on their absolute moral purity.
Right.
And then the ring light turns off, the camera stops rolling, and a leaked video completely destroys the facade.
The digital era makes it terrifyingly easy to maintain that double life because the audience only sees the rectangular frame you choose to broadcast.
But when the hypocrisy is exposed, the audience's reaction is swift and brutal.
It is absolute carnage in the comments section.
Yeah, it really is. But there's another kind of slip-up that isn't malicious, just pure, unintentional comedy. My absolute favorite archetype from this whole paper, Mrs. Malaprop.
Oh yes, Mrs. Malaprop is a legendary theatrical character famous for her sheer confident ignorance.
Confident ignorance is the best kind.
It is. She would constantly misuse language, loudly inserting a word that sounded slightly like the correct word, but meant something entirely different.
And what was the result?
Well, her attempts to sound educated only exposed her lack of knowledge, generating massive comedic relief for the theater audience.
Like someone confidently claiming they're positively well-heeled instead of well-heeled. Just loud and wrong.
Precisely. And Dr. Rathod adapts this beautifully to the digital age, calling them digital doolittles and magnifying malaprops.
Oh, I've definitely seen a few of those.
Think about the sheer volume of content where people unknowingly mangle facts, butcher pronunciations, or confidently misunderstand basic concepts on camera.
Yeah, like the guy doing a serious podcast who mispronounces a historical figure's name 10 times in a row.
Yes, or the creator who tries to explain a scientific concept but completely fumbles the core physics.
And what happens? The error itself becomes the performance. We stitch the video. We make reaction memes. The algorithm amplifies the mistake far beyond the original video.
This raises an important question, though. When we look at the prude being exposed or the malaprop being mocked, we have to look past the performer and analyze the darkroom beyond the stage.
The audience.
Exactly. We have to look at the audience. The comedy of these failures requires a complicit group of spectators to complete the circuit.
Which really forces you to examine your own scrolling habits. Like, think about it. Why do we watch these cringeworthy moments?
Right. What does it say about us?
Are we inherently judgmental as a society? Are we just sitting in the digital audience, secretly waiting for a Doolittle or a Prude to slip up so we can turn their genuine mistakes into our daily entertainment?
It makes us highly complicit.
Yeah, we aren't just innocent bystanders. We are the ones buying the tickets to the show.
We are entirely complicit. We enforce the rules of the stage by deciding who gets applause and who gets tomatoes thrown at them, which forces us to zoom out from the individual characters and look at the structural change in our society as a whole. What happens when the entire globe shifts their social interactions onto this theatrical platform?
Because life wasn't always a broadcast.
No, not at all.
100 years ago, we existed in physical, continuous communities, joint families, tight-knit neighborhoods, local social circles. Your identity was built over decades of continuous, unedited physical interaction.
Yes.
Now, so much of our existence is mediated through a screen.
Right, and Dr. Rathod frames this monumental shift using the philosophy of Jean-Francois Lyotard.
Okay, what did he say?
Lyotard was deeply concerned with the postmodern condition, specifically the breakdown of what he called grand narratives.
Grand narratives, like overarching stories of society.
Exactly. He observed that the large, stable, continuous structures of society were fracturing. Human experience was breaking apart into tiny, disconnected, isolated moments.
It is almost haunting how perfectly that describes a short-form video feed.
Isn't it?
You swipe once, and you watch a 15-second cooking tutorial. You swipe again, it's a 30-second emotional breakdown from a stranger. Swipe again, a 10-second fashion haul.
Yeah, there is no continuous narrative.
No, it is just a chaotic stream of fractured, isolated moments of existence.
And in that fractured space, we experience a profound paradox. We have built a digital society that provides constant, instantaneous connection to millions of people.
Yet simultaneously creates immense aching distance.
Yes. We spend significantly more psychological energy curating our front stage performance for a digital crowd than we do tending to the unedited backstage relationships with the people sitting right next to us.
Wow. But, and I think this is the most grounding realization in Dr. Rathod's entire analysis, despite this massive foundational shift in how we communicate, the core of what we are communicating hasn't changed a bit.
Not at all.
The hardware is space age, but the software is basically ancient.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the profound insight here is that literature is essentially a diagnostic tool for human nature.
Oh, I like that.
We change the medium from the physical village to the global network, but the human weaknesses driving the plot remain completely untouched.
Like vanity.
Yes, the desire to show off beauty and success, greed, the endless pursuit of followers, views, and monetization.
Desire, craving attention and validation from strangers.
And jealousy, the constant, agonizing comparison of your own messy backstage reality to the hyper-real, curated front-stage lives of others.
It's like the comedy of manners just gave everyone a microphone. Social media didn't invent these behaviors, it just democratized the theatricality. It scaled it up so that everyone, not just the wealthy elite of 17th century London, could join the cast and fight for the spotlight.
It proves that identity has always been constructed, and social relationships have always been strategic. The theater just expanded its borders.
So I want to bring this directly back to you, listening right now. The next time you open your phone and start swiping through the endless stream of fragmented videos, I want you to actively look at the stage.
Notice the actors.
Yeah. Ask yourself, are you finding real, grounding connection in what you are watching, or are you just feeling falsely satisfied by the hyper-reality of it all?
Right.
Are you actually watching a friend share a genuine moment, or are you watching a modern fop projecting style, or a coquette strategically managing her visibility? Once you understand the archetypes, the illusion breaks. You really can't unsee them.
You really can't. You will start spotting the truants performing intellect and the witwoods desperately copying trends everywhere you look.
It is an incredible lens to view the internet through. To wrap up our deep dive into these sources today, Dr. Rathod's paper definitively proves that historical literature isn't just a dusty relic we are forced to endure in school.
Far from it.
It is the ultimate cheat sheet for decoding modern human behavior. The truants, the fashionable fops, the imitating witwoods, the hypocritical prudes, and the bumbling digital doolittles, they didn't disappear when the 18th century ended.
No, they just got ring lights and better PR.
They really did. They are alive, they're well, and they are currently living inside your phone.
They absolutely are. And it leaves us with one final, lingering thought to chew on.
Let's hear it.
Earlier, we discussed Foucault's concept that visibility equals power. That in a theatrical society, to be seen is to literally exist.
Right.
If power, identity, and existence in this modern digital comedy of manners rely entirely on being visible to an audience, well, what happens to human nature when we actually log off?
Oh, wow.
If a modern fop or a coquette isn't being perceived, liked, or shared by a follower, do they even have an identity left in the physical world? Or does the character simply cease to exist once the screen goes dark?
Oh man, that is a haunting question. Does the actor even exist without the audience looking at them? Something to seriously think about the next time your battery dies. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of our digital lives. We wish you happy and highly observant scrolling. Don't forget to keep an eye on the stage.